Hey guys, and welcome back to more World of Warcraft, where we're trying out professions and starting in the classic era. In the last episode we did engineering, and that went actually rather well. While I was collecting all the herbs for this video, we of course continued getting ore, and I made more items and put them in the auction house, and so far I still have more items on the auction house. This is what I have sold since the last video. So we have 7,000 here, and that leaves us now with 13,500. I would say 300 of this gold is I earned from from leveling, because I wanted to be level 30 to get the higher speed of our flight. So at level 20 I unlock flying, and at level 30 I think it goes from 200 to 400% speed. As we said at the end of the last episode, today we're going to start looking at Inscription, and of course we're going to start with classic Inscription. Now this is going to be very exciting to me, because the last time I properly played with Inscription was in Wrath of the Lich King when it came out, and it still had major glyphs, minor glyphs, cliff slots, all that jazz, and it's completely different now. So let's start with Peace Plume. Okay, so we get between 2 and 3 alabaster pigments out of 5 Peace Plume. So let's start by crafting some Moonglow Ink. At 60 Inscription, the Moonglow Ink recipe turned green. Now we can learn more scrolls, Scroll of Agility, Strength, Enchanting Vellum. I think the vendors actually sell that as well. And Scroll of Recall. Research Moonglow Ink. Create a random scroll in an effort to discover new cliff recipes made with Moonglow Ink. Let's do that. Oh, we can keep doing it? Okay, so there's no limit on a daily limit or anything. That's awesome. And we got Cliff of Stars. Oh, look at that. So the result is that we get a random scroll, and then we also unlocked a cliff. So we got the Cliff of Inspired Hymns. Use while channeling hymns, a spirit appears above you. That actually has a sales value of nearly 40 gold right now, and 200 average sold a day. And Cliff of Stars, 3,000. And this one sells for about 40 gold. And then we have the Cliff of the Spectral Wolf, which also seems to sell. This is crazy. Well, let's unlock more. Cliff of Foul Menagerie. About 18 gold. Causes your Army of the Dead spell to summon an assortment of undead minions. Well, you know what? Every time we unlock one, we have to craft one. So let's see if we can get any more unlocked. Okay, that's it. Research Midnight Ink. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna assume that we unlocked everything possible. Yeah, that's it. So I don't think we can unlock any more. But Midnight Ink is a research where we need Midnight Ink 4, which is possibly something that we unlock now with the trainer. Yes, Midnight Ink. And all the second tier scrolls as well, and as well as Vanishing Powder. But Vanishing Powder you can actually buy at the vendor as well, I believe. It seems that alabaster pigment has only one use, and that is to make Moonglow Ink. So we might as well craft all of them. I think I'm just gonna craft more glyphs, and then we list them on the auction house and see if they sell. So to have a good mix on the auction house, I would say we're gonna craft 9 more of each of those, and then we're gonna list basically 10 of each glyph. And the rest of the Moonglow Ink we're gonna list on the auction house as is. And we also unlocked at level 100 Research Lion's Ink. That's awesome. We're still getting points actually and levels from crafting those cliffs. That is beautiful. The Cliff of Foul Menagerie. Cliff of Inspired Hymns. Okay, they have decent prices. Wow, 38 gold. Cliff of Stars. And Cliff of the Spectral Wolf also 28. That is not bad at all. And then the rest of the ink. We're level 114 now, and we unlocked even more. So Hunter's Ink, Mysterious Tarot. Oh, Mystic Tomb. There's some exciting sounding items here. Mysterious Tarot with Hunter's Ink. Random card of rogues. Collect all 3 cards to receive a reward. Hunter's Ink is made from verdant pigments, which are made also from Maga Oil, Briarthorn. Oh, this is the same as the Midnight Ink. So we get 2 pigments now for milling these. Oh, that's amazing. We're gonna check that out in a second. So this is the next set of herbs that we're gonna do to get Midnight Ink, and apparently also Hunter's Ink, which is coming from the verdant pigments. Now we're gonna turn all our pigments into ink. So all we can use the Hunter's Ink for is to make tarot cards, and of course the Mystic Tombs, but nothing else. So we could sell it as is, which we're gonna do some of them. So we're gonna leave some of them behind for the auction house. But let's craft, I would say, 5 of those mysterious tarots, and we're gonna probably use one to see what they're like. Combine the ace and 2 and 3 of rogues to complete a set. Oh, the 2 of rogue is worth the most, with 20 gold. The 3 of rogue is worth only about 645, and this is 2 gold. But what is a rogue deck worth? It's 1,200. Again, regional average daily sold 0.056, but because we crafted it, we might as well sell it. Now let's see what we unlock researching Midnight Ink. Glyph of Skeleton. Craft that straight away. It uses 3 Midnight Ink. Wow. Okay, what's next? Glyph of Lingering Ancestors. Glyph of Winged Vengeance. Okay, no more unlock. Okay, let's list all the glyphs that we crafted. And the ink, of course. And the Rogue's Deck card, which I don't even think is gonna sell. And the Hunter's Ink. I wonder what this quest does, that it's worth 1,200 gold. And my Glyph of Stars sold, another Glyph of Stars, and a Glyph of Skeleton. This is crazy. Okay, let's see what we get next. Book of Survival, that's another off-hunter item. So I don't imagine there's anything else there to sell. Dawnstar Ink and Strange Tarot and Tomb of the Dawn. Again, it's an off-hunter item as well. Next is Lion's Ink, which we need to make research of Lion's Ink, and for that we need gold pigments, which is Wild Steel Bloom, Grave Moss, King's Plus, and Life Root. I don't have any Grave Moss, but I have some Steel Bloom, King's Blood, and Life Root. Oh, Burnt Pigment. There we go. We get some extras. Nice. So it seems that King's Blood and Life Root is doing really well on the extra pigment. We probably want to make some more Lion's Ink and do a little bit more Life Root gathering, because we only can do 7 researches, and I'm not sure if you get 3 or 4. Maybe we get more glyphs. We'll see. Glyph of Evaporation. This one here, 55 gold. That's not bad. Your charge leaves a trail of fire in its wake. I can see why that is very popular with the warrior. Here we go. Glyph of Geist. Glyph of Spirit Raptors. And that's it. No more unlocked. So we actually had just enough Lion's Ink. Now, I do want to go out and get some more Life Root. Go for a little bit of a grind. But let's list what we already have right now. 50 gold. Oh, we actually have our Glyph of Winged Vengeance sold as well for 21 gold. Very nice. And we're gonna leave the ink and the pigment here because, like I said, I'm gonna go on my Life Root grind now. So I went on a bit of a grind and I came back with over 100 Life Root and over 100 Strangle Kelp and about 50 or 60 Sunkgrass. So I'm not sure what pigments we're gonna get out of that, but they were just in the same area, so I picked them up as well. Now, look at the competition though. The undercut is real. Now, Strangle Kelp was, I think, the best ratio of the additional pigment. So we're just gonna go through all of them, 24 only. And we ended up with 13 Verdant and 75 Dusky. Now, we did need more Lion's Ink, and that is made from golden pigment. Life Root was very good for that, I believe. There we go, 3, 2, and we get a lot of burnt pigments as well, which is very nice. And in the case of the burnt pigments, I'm actually just gonna sell the pigments. And now that we have a few more Lion's Ink, I'm gonna craft another 2 or 3. Oh, let's do 2 of each of those cliffs that we unlocked with the Lion's Ink. There we go. And now we can unlock the next ink. Jadefire Ink is made from emerald pigments, and emerald pigments is made from milling Fade Leaf, Goldthorn, Katka, Whisker, and Dragon Teeth. Indigo pigment. Ooh, okay. So we get emerald pigments and indigo pigments. So let me just check what we use the indigo pigment for. Royal Ink, and that we unlock at 175. Okay, Jadefire Ink has stopped giving us experience now. So can we unlock more recipes? There's one more scroll of stamina 3. Alright, let's see what we get researching Jadefire Ink. Cliff of Crimson Banish. Hawk Feast. Cliff of the Unbound Elemental. There we go. Cliff of Mighty Victory. Cliff of Gushing Wound. Yes, Cliff of Soulwell. That's it. Next step is to get more herbs, to mill more emerald pigments, to get a few more levels crafting the cliffs we just unlocked as well. About 3 or 4 of each, and hopefully that gets us to 175 to unlock the next recipe. Okay, now list everything else from the previous craft. And the leftover ink as well. Okay, I went on a bit of a grind for Kathgar Whisker, which is actually a lot of them in Eastern Plaguelands. So one round took less than 20 minutes and gave me 145 of the whiskers. So let's mill them all and turn the emerald pigments into Jadefire Ink. Okay, let's make about 2 or 3. Let's make 2 of each of those, and that hopefully is enough to get to 175. And we're gonna be 1 short. Oh, that's brilliant. We're actually exactly 1 short, and we're 1 ink short as well that we could get to 175. Luckily, we have our druid parked in the Plaguelands, so it does pay to have a gatherer tune, which is completely separate. And all we need is another 5 whiskers, and we're good to go. And craft that extra cliff. Now we should be able to unlock. Ooh, nice. That's the scrolls. We got Arcane Tarot now at 175. The Royal Guide. Oh, that's another offhand weapon. And the Royal Ink. And then more scrolls and another offhand. Victory! So we can do all of them. And that even got us to 180. Now with the Royal Ink, we can make the offhands, which actually have a good price, but again, very low sales rate. But we also have Arcane Tarot, which is the same as the Rogue. So I'm kind of curious if, you know, what the value is. So it would be nice, even if we lose a little bit of money or value in comparison to just selling the ink. Let's see if we get lucky and get all 3 cards. Got the 2 of Mage. Do we get the 1 of Mage? And here we go. So we have all 3 of them. Combine the ace through 5. Oh, it's ace through 5. Oh, here we go. We got 1. 5 of mages. We 1 more short. No, we didn't get it. I'm just picking up more whiskers so I can get that last mage card. I'm really hellbent on getting this to see what how much the quest item sells for. Let's see if we get lucky. There we go. That's it. Whew, that was close. That was the second last, and we got 2 of them as well, which means we can craft actually 2 sets now. So let's craft 1 set. And that is 14,000 gold, but the sales rate is just ridiculously low. I mean, what else am I gonna do? So we might as well craft the second one and try to sell it, even if we're gonna have to relist this about 50 times. Okay, we're now at Inscription 200, which unlocks the Celestial Ink. And Scroll of Recall 2. What's the difference? Returns you to Augur my embassy. Results are unpredictable beyond level 49. This seems to do exactly the same as the first recall scroll. For the Horde! Okay, Celestial Ink is made from violet pigment, which can be milled from Fire Bloom, which we have a few. Purple Lotus, we don't have any. Arthur's Tears, don't have any. Sungrass, I have loads of that. And Blindweed. And let's do some research. Cliff of Fire from Havens. Cliff of Weapon Master. Cliff of Shadow. That's it. So we can get levels with it, but in this case we might as well just craft more of the cliffs. Okay, we actually have a Scroll of Stamina and a Scroll of Versatility 5. And the next big unlock is the Fury Ink at 225. Okay, 1 more. No, 2 more actually. Let's do another Shadow one. And now we're at 225. Another offhand. And here we go. Here's the Fury Ink. Another offhand. And Shadowy Tarot. I don't think any of those will actually sell any of those quest items, because I think it's just so much cheaper to just buy the cards in the auction house and craft the quest item yourself. But who knows? Maybe someone just wants to buy the quest item and not care about the rest. Drink. So we definitely convert all of the pigments into the Fury ink. Okay, let's craft some of those cards, if anything, just to level up. See how many cards we actually would need. Combine the ace through 5, so it's again 5 cards. Okay. Okay, so we're not wasting any more of those cards actually, because again, I don't think. Oh, look at the prices of these cards! Holy moly, 225, 988. That is crazy. Now I'm curious though. Could we get the 4? If not, we're just gonna sell the individual cards. Yeah, we didn't get the 4, but that's okay. Okay, we got the Scroll of Stamina 5 and the Shimmering Ink. The Shimmering Ink is made from silvery pigment, which is made from golden sansam, dreamfoil mountain, silver sage, sorrow moss, and ice cap. The demons deck is about 27,000. 4 of demons is only about 15 gold, so we're definitely gonna list all the other things here. So these cards definitely, and the rest of the emerald pigments that we didn't use. 1 celestial ink. Let's see what we actually get on pigments from milling the dream foil. So we get silvery pigments and we get a sapphire pigment, which is 40 gold each. Wow. And let's do the sansam. And then do the mountain silver sage. And finally, the ice cups. In total, we got 31 sapphire pigments, worth about 1,200 gold, and 144 silver pigments, also nearly 2,000 gold. So I think just selling the pigments is absolutely fantastic. The Shimmering Ink is worth a little bit less. So let's do some research with the new Shimmering Ink. Cliff of the Cheetah. Cliff of the Rising Tiger Cake. Cliff of Shackle Undead. Cliff of Luminous Charger. Nope. Okay, so now to get to 275, we need to craft a lot of cliffs. Let's see, Shackle Undead is 6, so we're not going to craft any of that. Cheetah, I'm definitely going to craft a few of those, because I like to put them onto my druids. And then we're going to craft 4 of the other ones of each, and that should get us to 275. And now we can learn the new ink, Dark Moon card, and the Ink of the Sky. We'll also get some new offhands. So let's have a look at the Dark Moon cards and see. Let's craft 1 and see what it is. Ace through 8. So that's quite a lot actually of them. This one sells for 750. I don't think that will actually sell for that much. And that is the Ace of Portals. We're going to just do 2 more useless researches just to get to 300. Because there's nothing else to discover, but we made it to 300. Is there any more recipes? Yes. And that's it. We have learned every single thing from the trainer, except the stuff you get from the raids, I guess. And that's just items and weapons, which is not going to sell much for anyway. But otherwise, yeah, we've done it. Okay, so we're going to list everything else that is left over. The Ink of the Sky, we're going to list that. All the different type of cards that we found. I don't think a single one of them will actually sell, but we keep listing them. And all the cliffs and the Shimmering Ink as well. And just listing the things that we crafted so far from Inscription, which was all within the last 2 hours since we started, pretty much 2 or 3 hours. This is all we have. We have 1,000 gold already made just from cliffs, which is actually fantastic. And we sold 10 Cliff of the Stars and 10 Cliff of the Spectral Wolf. So these guys just seem to sell.
like hotcakes. Now, I've spent a considerable amount of time since the last cat to experiment around a little bit with all the different inks and what the resources are, what the herbs are that we need for them, what is the best herbs for me, the most convenient to farm, what pigments are worth making ink out of, what pigments we should probably look at selling straight away, and what inks should we sell and what inks should we use to make cliffs from. Of course, this is all highly subjective, and whatever works best for me might not work best for anybody else. It also depends if you hoard, if you alliance, what zones do you find easier to farm? Do you just want to buy them outright? Are you on a U service? Yes, there's a lot of variables, but this is what ended up working best for me. Now, when it comes to the green pigments, I'm only going to say this now one time and not repeat it for all the others. I did the same for all of them. I never crafted any of the products. The markets for those cards is way too volatile. Up and down, price changes, relistings, undercuts. It's just insane. Personally, to me, wasn't worth it. If it is to you, that's great, but to me, it just wasn't worth it. So what I did is I either listed the pigments or turned them into inks and listed the inks, or kind of did a 50-50 split, you know, if they both had a good sales rate, just to speed up the process of selling. So let's start at the very beginning. We have alabaster pigment, which can be made from several herbs: peace bloom, silver leaf, and earthroot. And there is no single best herb for me in my scenario because they're all just right outside Orgrimmar, and I'm just doing circuits, and that was about 150 after 20 odd minutes. There is no special pigment to worry about, so we can turn it all into Moonglow Ink because I can make some cliffs from it, which sell nicely for about 38 gold. The Menagerie, the Inspired Herms I skipped because that is kind of very low in comparison to the other cliffs. So the Cliff of Stars, I went for 36 gold, and the Cliff of the Spectral Wolf, I went, which is also 38 gold. And at the moment, it goes up and down a little bit, but it's usually around that price. Now, to make the next set of pigments, we can use Mage Royale, Briarthorn, Swift Thistle, Bruceweed, or Strangle Kelp. I found just farming for Mage Royale and Briarthorn the best because you get Swift Thistle for free as a byproduct, so you end up with 3 different types of herbs just farming for 2. I'm just taking all those dusk pigments and turning them into ink and using them to craft the Lingering Ancestor Cliff, which sells for around 30 gold, the Skeleton Cliff, which is about 40 gold, and right now for me, Winged Vengeance is around 26 to 30 gold. It depends on the time of day. If we look at golden pigment next, this is milled from Wild Steel Broom, Grave Moss, King's Blood, or Life Root. But I found just going to, I think it was Northern Stranglethorn, and just do rounds and rounds of King's Blood, which is tons of it there, gets you about 200 in just around 20 minutes, and that keeps you covered. There's no need for any of the other herbs. Now I turn them all into ink, and then the cliffs that I find the best to sell were the Spirit Raptor for the all around 50 gold, Blazing Trail about 50 gold, and Cliff of the Geist around 50 gold, and that's the 3 I would focus on with the Lion's Ink. Looking at emerald pigments, they can be milled from Fate Leaf, Goldthorn, Cathgar's Whisker, and Dragon's Teeth, but I found just going for me personally as a horde to Feralas, going to get Whiskers and Fate Leaf was just the best thing. Again, around 20 to 25, 30 minutes max, I get 200, and then I'm gonna turn all of these either to ink or list them on as pigments, or do both. And the reason I do that for this particular one is because the pigments can reach up to 20 to 23 gold each, and that is just too high to ignore. Because the cliffs, while they do sell for a good amount of money, I mean, this one is not as high, but some of them sell for 70 gold, the Hawk Feast sells for 80 gold, so they're very expensive cliffs as well. This one is nearly 100 gold, actually, the Mighty Victory, so I craft that a lot as well. So I use them for cliffs, but if I have a good run, I use, and I can craft more than, say, 6, 7 of each of those cliffs, then I'm going to keep some of the pigments left behind, and I'm going to list them on the auction house as well. So kind of do like a 20-80 split maybe. 80% use for cliffs, 20% just sell them, because the pigment can reach ridiculous amount of gold as well. Looking at violet pigment can be made from quite a lot of herbs: Firebloom, Purple Lotus, Arthur's Tear, Sungrass, Blindweed, Ghost Mushrooms, or Gromsplot, but I found just hopping over to Eastern Plaguelands and doing the Sungrass route is enough. Again, about 200 between 20 and 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna turn all of them into ink, and I'm gonna craft only 2 of the 3 cliffs because the Fire from Heavens is 70 gold, Cliff of the Shadow 60 gold, and Cliff of Weapon Master, it does sell, but it's only 33 gold, so I usually keep it to these 2 cliffs. And if I have any left over and I can make quite a lot, I might do 1 or 2 just to spread it out in the market to sell things quicker. And the last in the list, the silvery pigment, that can be made from golden sandsam, dreamfoil, mountain silver sage, sorrel moss, or ice cap. Now, ice caps are in huge numbers in winter spring, and that is a very good choice. Or what I found very handy, because the area I was in already, I just go over to the Swamp of Sorrows, because I already have been doing Hillsprat and Northern Stranglethorn, and going over to Swamp of Sorrows was just easier. And there is a lot of sorrel moss and a lot of golden sandsam there, and that for me worked out best. I ended up, after again 20 to 30 minutes, that's usually the runs I do, with just around 200 or over 200 herbs in total. I'm turning all of those pigments into ink, and I'm crafting basically all of the cliffs you can craft with it, because they're all about the same value. 24 to 30 gold. You can see it here. The Shackle of the Undead, 22. The Cheetah, 30 gold. That actually sells so fast, it's not even funny. Cliff of Luminous Charger, that doesn't sell as quickly, but also 30 gold. So I kind of split it between the four and list all of them, and between them they usually sell quite quickly. So let's have a look, actually, all the things that I've sold in the last few days while I was preparing for this. And I taken out all the things that I sold with engineering already, because I didn't want that to screw the money. But you can see we made like 8,000 gold. And let's have a look and actually see what we sold. You will find that the cliffs sold really, really nicely, and some cliffs are even better than others. But of course, you don't want to focus on the one or two cliffs that sell the best. You want to kind of split up, because if you just keep listing too many of the one thing that sells the best, it's gonna saturate the market, and you're gonna get find that the prices just keep getting lower and lower. Now let's have a look at the ledger in TSM to see the sales of cliffs, and we can see we sold 156 cliffs and still selling at a value of 5,718 gold. Now if we have a look at the green pigments and the inks, you can see we sold about 66 of them for 1,247 gold. Now at times I listed the white pigments and inks directly on the auction house as well, either because I had some left over and want to get rid of them, or I wanted to see how quickly they actually sell in comparison to making cliffs, when I wasn't sure if it was worth it to make the cliffs or not through the experimenting stage. So we sold 203 items, also 2,500 gold. And if we look at the combined value of all the cliffs, inks, and pigments that we sold since we learned Inscription, we sold 425 items for 9,500 gold. Now, where we're gonna go from here, I wanted to go to Kata, because that is the default one that we actually start with, Cataclysm. And then I was thinking, no, let's do it in the order they actually released. So if you look at Chromie, for example, the next one is Outland, then the Lich King era, then Cataclysm, and so on and so on. So what I want to do is I want to start with Outland. I already went and learned Outland Inscription and Outland Engineering, and I didn't craft anything yet, and I already sent my farmer down to start farming tons of ore and herbs in the Outland area. However, this may be that we're gonna cover in one video multiple of these, because there's only 75 levels. There isn't a lot of variety in each of those. Well, at least from what I could see. Maybe later on there is, but in Outland and Cataclysm, definitely not. Lich King I haven't looked at yet in Northrend. But either way, we're going to cover next the Outland era, which then is either followed in a separate video for the next one, or in one video we're gonna cover Outland, Wrath of the Lich King, and Cataclysm possibly. We'll see how much content we get out of each of those crafts for each of those eras. Alright, having said that, I'm gonna leave it here. Listen guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to kick that like button in the balls, and I hope I see you guys in the next video. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and I see you guys next time. Until then, as always, viel Spaß and happy gaming.